have to use it. I mean, even though I dragged this turkey half across the country, I almost got a hernia. The guilt trip was subtle, expert, surgical. Ma, we'll use your turkey, Alice surrendered. Later that evening, the situation escalated. Alice was dating Greg Chandler, a handsome, steady man who was the antithesis of the chaotic men usually found in her orbit. Mona, naturally, had to inspect him. "You're so pretty," Mona told Greg, holding his face. "No, don't kiss me. You'll catch my cough." "You're sick?" Greg asked. "Believe me, you don't want to hear about it," Mona sighed, ensuring he would hear about it for the next hour. The tension came to a head in Alice's apartment. Mona had rearranged the silverware drawer in the middle of the night because she couldn't sleep. She had replaced Alice's stuffing with her own chestnut recipe. She was rewriting Alice's life just as Mel had rewritten the musical. "Ma, we have to talk right now," Alice said, cutting a slice of pie with trembling hands. "Why?" "I know you're upset," Mona said, looking wounded. "I don't understand how you could announce in front of everybody that you're gonna come and live with me without discussing it with me." Alice burst out. Alice burst out. Alice burst out. The room went silent. Greg looked at his turkey. Tommy looked at his shoes. "Okay, so we'll discuss it now," Mona said calmly. "Can I come and live with you?" "No," Alice said. "Why not?" Because you're making me crazy," Alice shouted. "Ever since you've come here, you have to have everything your own way. You rearranged my silverware drawer. You brought a 28-pound turkey. You force-fed Greg." Mona sat back, her eyes filling with tears. It was the weapon of mass destruction in a Jewish mother's arsenal. "I would like to apologize," Mona said softly, her voice trembling. "I don't say this much, but I was wrong." Alice softened instantly. The anger drained away, leaving just the ache of loving someone difficult. "Ma, but listen to me," Mona continued, shifting gears. "Twilight? You haven't even hit mid-afternoon yet," Alice argued. "I can't sell that house in New Jersey," Mona admitted, her vulnerability finally real. "It's full of memories of you. The notches on the wall. The banister. You used to slide down," Alice hugged her. "Ma, you're gonna go back to New Jersey. But you'll come back and visit." "Of course," Mona sniffed. "I'll be back in 3 weeks for Christmas." Alice closed her eyes. 3 weeks of peace. She could do this. She was Alice Hyatt. She had survived Mel's musical. She could survive Christmas. Chapter 5. The cheerleader in the diner. Peace, however, was not on the menu. No sooner had Mona departed than another family crisis rolled in like a tumbleweed. Mel walked into the diner looking unusually cheerful, which was always a bad sign. "Guess what? My mother is coming to town. Carrie Sharples." The woman who had birthed Mel. It explained a lot, though Carrie was surprisingly spry compared to her son's lumbering demeanor. But this visit was different. Carrie wasn't just visiting, she was escaping. "I got a divorce," Carrie announced, dropping her suitcase. "What?" Mel dropped a plate. "But I thought you and Robbie were so happy." "Robbie's gambling really started bugging me," Carrie said, taking a seat. "He even gambled away the money I made in my cookbook. So I gave him an ultimatum. Give up gambling or give up me." "And?" Alice asked. "I'm here, aren't I?" Carrie smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "I feel great, liberated, on top." But she wasn't on top. She was lonely, manic, and driving everyone insane. She talked for 24 hours straight. She zipped herself into a sleeping bag to avoid talking to Mel. She needed a distraction. Enter Earl. Earl was a regular, a basketball coach for a local team, the Coyotes. He was nice, unsuspecting, and entirely unprepared for Carrie Sharples. "Maybe she'd like to go to the game I'm coaching this afternoon," Earl suggested innocently, trying to help Alice get Carrie out of the diner. It was a fatal error. Carrie didn't just watch the game, She became the mascot. She leaped onto the court. She led cheers. Come on, Coyotes. You're the tops. The Coyotes won. And suddenly, Carrie was their good luck charm. But for Carrie, it was more than basketball. She looked at Earl, sweet, patient Earl, and saw a replacement for Robbie. I think she's got the hots for me, Earl whispered to Alice in the kitchen. My mother doesn't get the hots, Mel argued, horrified. Frankly, I think she's in love with me, Earl insisted. Alice had to intervene. Again, she was the diplomat of the diner, the Henry Kissinger of hash browns. She found Carrie in the locker room, dressed in a coyote costume that looked suspiciously like a furry pajama set. Carrie, I have to tell you something, Alice started. You don't like my outfit? Carrie asked, adjusting her ears. Carrie, love is a two-way street, Alice said gently. And Earl, well, he feels like he's on a one-way street. Carrie stopped bouncing. The manic energy evaporated, leaving a tired, older woman in a ridiculous costume. He doesn't go for me? He doesn't go for me? He likes you very much as a friend, Alice said. Carrie sighed, pulling off the coyote head. I guess inside the coyote costume, it's hotter than hell, she muttered. I was just on the rebound from Robbie. Alice put an arm around her. Come on, let's get some coffee. They walked back to the diner. The neon sign buzzing in the twilight. Another crisis averted. Another heart patched up with coffee and pie. Chapter 6. The worms of wealth. The winter faded into a dusty spring. The diner remained the center of the universe. And then, the Rolls-Royce pulled up. It was a gleaming silver beast, parked right across the street, reflecting the sun into the diner's grease-stained windows. I haven't seen one of them in a long time, Mel whistled. I should be behind the wheel of that baby. A man stepped out. He was charming, dressed in a suit that cost more than the diner's annual revenue. He had a smile that could sell ice to an Eskimo. Howdy, I'm Jonas Honeycutt, and I'm here to see my baby sister, Jolene, he announced. Jolene froze. Her face went pale. This wasn't a happy reunion. À moi. De. Jonas, she whispered. Jolene, don't you recognize your brother? Jonas beamed. The tension was immediate. Jolene refused to talk to him. She dragged him into the storeroom. What are you doing out of jail? She hissed. I've been out over a year. I am now a bona fide, honest-to-goodness investment broker, Jonas claimed. You've been nothing but a double-crossing, two-timing, lying, cheating con man, Jolene countered. Remember the savings and loan? The stolen car? I reformed, Jonas pleaded. But a leopard doesn't change its spots, and a con man doesn't stop conning. Especially when there's a mark as big and juicy as Mel Sharple's. While Jolene was distracted, Jonas cornered Mel. It's kind of hush-hush, but it's gonna make certain investors rich overnight. Jonas whispered. Rich overnight? Mel's eyes turned into cartoon dollar signs. Worms, Jonas whispered. Worms? Earthworm ranchers, Jonas explained with a straight face. You need worms to catch fish. Who do you think catches the worms? Worm cowboys. It was the stupidest thing Alice had ever heard. But Mel? Mel saw genius. Mel saw a future where he was a worm baron. I've got $5,000, Mel said. That's exactly what they cost, Jonas smiled. Mel handed over his mortgage money. He bought a ranch located between plots supposedly owned by Johnny Carson and Bob Hope. When Jolene found out, she was furious. Not at Mel, well, a little at Mel, for being an idiot, but at her brother. She marched into the diner, Alice and Vera flanking her like a heavily armed posse. Jonas, give him the check back, Jolene demanded. I can't, Jonas started. Give it back. Jonas looked at his sister. He looked at the check. He looked at Mel, who was currently reading a book titled A Man and His Worm. Slowly, Jonas handed the check over. You wouldn't believe me when I told you I'd reformed, so I had to prove it to you, Jonas lied, trying to save face. By taking the money and giving it back. I guess you really have changed, Jolene said, offering him a grace he didn't deserve but desperately needed. As Jonas drove away in his rented Rolls-Royce, Mel looked at his contract. I still think it was a good